Patrick McNeil back here with you at the intermission, and joining on by Cape Breton Eagles netminder Nicolas Ruccia. Big night for him as the Eagles resume their season in Blainville-Boisbriand. And Nicolas, how excited are you and the rest of your teammates to get started playing hockey again?
Something we've been really excited for. I mean, we've been here for a few weeks now just practicing. And I feel like with our new coach and everything, we got our systems down. But now it's time for game, and I think we're ready and excited for that.
You mentioned a lot of practice time. Just walk us through what that last month has been like. Has there been any limitations on what you can do? Has the practice managed to stay fresh? What has the last month been like?
At the beginning, because of the restrictions, we were only about 7 players on ice. We did that for a little while. Practices were very hard on the players, and I find our new coach has brought in a lot of work ethic and a structure, so our team is working really hard in practices. He's been pushing us.
Very interesting, and we'll have to talk to Chad if it's different from his perspective, starting anew, having practiced for a month before your first game. That's not usually how it works for a new coach. Wanted to go back to where it all began for you. You're drafted by the Eagles in the first round of the 2020 draft. Did you know it was going to be Cape Breton? How exciting was that? I know it wasn't the conventional go to the draft in person, but still very exciting, I'm sure.
I know Cape had told me that they really loved me, so I had an idea they would take me. Had no idea it was going to be in the first round, but it's a really special experience and still one of my favorite memories now.
Now you find yourself in a situation where you're basically paired up with a goaltender picked in the second round, Remy de la Fontaine, the same year. So you guys are kind of pushing each other, but you seem to have a good relationship. Tell us about that dynamic throughout the year.
We played together for Team Quebec after Bantam season, so we got to know each other a bit there. We meshed really well together. We're good friends off the ice too, and we have a really amazing relationship, I think.
Very good. Now, it's Black History Month, February, and the QMJHL is trying to tell stories of both present and past players. And unfortunately, not as many as we like to have seen come through the QMJHL. You identify as being of mixed race. Has that been a factor in your playing days in hockey growing up?
I'm really lucky because growing up in a big city like Laval, Montreal area, my teams growing up, we had so much diversity. It would never really hit me as a kid. I didn't have any horror stories. But I have heard of stories of other Black or mixed players having some bad encounters.
Is that something you notice in the QMJHL? Because obviously you said you're from the Montreal area. There's a lot of diversity in the area, a lot of people coming from all over with different backgrounds, I guess you could say. And the QMJHL is obviously pulling from players that maybe don't have as much racial diversity. Do you notice a difference in the QMJHL? Is that something that the game is improving on a little bit, do you think?
I think it's everyone. Not only hockey, all sports are just trying to make it more included for any race, any sex, any gender. I find it's going very progressively, and I think that's such an amazing thing. I can see that difference in it.
Very good. And as you said, you know, even though it's not your experience, there have been negative experiences for others. So we don't want to paint this overly rosy picture of being at the end, but it is good to see some progress for sure. And obviously tough for me to talk about as a white guy. I don't want to proclaim things are better than they are, but that is promising to hear for sure. We talked about this road trip to Blainville-Boisbriand. This is a default home game, I guess you could say, in terms of where you're from, but we have attendance limitations in Quebec right now. Walk us through the challenges your family has had trying to get tickets for this game tonight.
Right now, my family still doesn't have any tickets, so we're trying to scavenge around for some, but I'm just happy to play in Blainville. I had so many tournaments there, board games there, that I think it's going to be a good feeling.
For sure. We look forward to hopefully seeing some player family in the crowd, and we are recording a few days in advance. So maybe by the time you hear this, Nicholas's parents have figured out a way to get into the rink. Now, we like to touch on different athletic backgrounds. Your brother was a high-end athlete, I understand, but not playing hockey. Tell us about that.
He played university football, played for Bishop's University, and they were in the AUS division. So actually they would take a plane and play in the Maritimes over here. He played football his entire childhood and he's still living in Sherbrooke where he went to school.
Obviously different sport, but was his success at a high level of athletic competition? Was that an inspiration for you as well?
It really was because he was on such an amazing path, but he just got unlucky with injuries. Football's a sport that it's not all up to you. He got unlucky with that, but it was like a type of pride that I had growing up that both of us were excelling in our sports.
Gave your family lots to watch, I guess, the two different sports. Now, one thing you've established as a characteristic of yourself since coming to Cape Breton is your gear game seems to be very strong. You had that very Cape Breton theme mask your rookie season, and now you're getting ready to debut this 25th season gear. What was the inspiration for the new mask? Tell us about that.
Since the 25th anniversary, I went with the best goalie, I would say, that came out of Cape. Marc-Andre's helmet when he was with Pittsburgh. He had just a simple logo on the top, yellow contour with the yellow cage with Pittsburgh under it. So I was like, I could do that. And I added in the 25th anniversary on each side. I like it. I think it's pretty good representation without it being faces of Fleury.
Very good. Nice throwback there for sure, as you said, with your own twist. Last year, you end up in that scheduling loop where you're playing Halifax and Charlottetown. It was obviously tough on a young team, but was there any positive in that from a developmental point of view that you were facing those high-end offenses night in and night out?
It was definitely one of the best opportunities was having like over 40 shots a night. Just gave me so many opportunities to show off what I can do. Even if I was letting in a bunch of goals, like that's normal. We were a rebuilding team, and I think it just helped also my mental strength not to give up and that stuff. You can't in those situations. So
it was an interesting second half for sure. Hopefully a situation that bizarre we don't see again. You talked about your development last year, and you were just talking about Marc-Andre Fleury, of course, with the most famous days we're playing in Pittsburgh. Eagles goaltending coach last year, Chuck Grant, lands a job with the Penguins organization. You obviously got to know Chuck very well. What do you think was it about his work that landed him that job with Pittsburgh?
He was so detailed in everything. He knows the game so well, and really he'd watch our video and go over, give me pointers on pretty much everything. We'd go over all the shots. How detailed and prepared he was really helped him be where he is right now.
How do you feel you've progressed in your time in the queue thus far, and how would you describe yourself and your style of play as a goalie?
I would say that I gained a lot more confidence this year compared to last year. It felt good playing other teams than just Halifax and Charlottetown. That was just one of the biggest pieces of that, finally being able to break that cycle, and I found that brought in more confidence.
Well, Nicolas, great to catch up with you. Best of luck the rest of the season. We look forward to seeing you and the rest of your teammates actually playing some hockey now.
Thank you.
That's Eagles goaltender Nicolas Ruccia as the Eagles start the second half of the season tonight in Blainville-Boisbriand. You're listening to Uniglass Plus, Cape Breton Eagles Hockey, 1270 CJCB.